Tal Heinrich. She is a former spokeswoman for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Tal, always good to see you, and we appreciate you taking the time for us. President Trump says the U.S. is nearing a deal and has called off additional strikes. But we're dealing with the remnants of the IRGC in terms of whether or not a deal actually moves forward. Those folks may believe it's more important to deny the president and the prime minister a victory than end this war. What do you think happens here over these next few days?
Obviously. Thank you so much for having me on, Tom. Always good to see you as well. You see, I am very skeptical. They will never sign any paper out of mutual trust, out of good faith. We don't know the details of the deal, if that should be said. We don't know what's the overall strategy of the White House around the 60-day period between stage A and stage B, if there is such a thing for real, because a lot could happen during such a time frame. Right. Having said that, I'm skeptical because I don't think that at this point of time, Tom, there could be anything that resembles a good deal with this regime. It's not one that they will be compelled to sign out of submission. We don't have them on their back feet exactly where we want them, not just yet, despite some incredible military achievements that we've had, the U.S. and Israel together, something that nobody could have foreseen, I guess, 2 years or about a year ago. Yeah. They know and we know that an actual good deal would mean death sentence to their very objectives, their very reasons of being this regime, their existence. They have two objectives: to counter the West to through the demise of Israel and the United States, and to expand their Islamist Shiite revolution across the Middle East by sowing much chaos all across the region. They are extorting us, and we have to remind our leaders, Tom, that extortion comes with an expiration date. We get to decide when that is. Right.
Yeah, for what we understand, Tal, at this moment, the deal provides incentives, but they are phased and contingent on separate conditions. They're not sort of all together. Prime Minister Netanyahu posting on X, "As long as I am Prime Minister of Israel, Iran will not have nuclear weapons. There is full agreement between me and President Trump on the issue." So we know that the President Trump has his big red line, right? But if the deal doesn't cover Iranian proxies, is that going to be a red line for Prime Minister Netanyahu? And how do you think that he should respond to that?
Well, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said it himself, as long as he is in power in Israel, Iran will never obtain nuclear weapons. But I want to remind our viewers, by the way, that President Trump has given the Iranian regime so many chances, not just through this term, but also his first administration, to change their ways and come around and act like a normal nation. After his pullout from the disastrous JCPOA, if you remember, back then, Secretary Mike Pompeo, he laid out 12 demands from Iran and said exactly what they have to do to start acting like a normal nation, behave like a normal nation, and you will be treated as such. And what have they done ever since? They just doubled down on their craziness. They kept arming themselves. They threatened everyone around the world and across the region, and enhanced their nuclear efforts. So I think it's about time we stop pretending that there could be any kind of agreement at this point of time that will actually compel them to start acting like a normal nation.
Tal, the president continues, as you mentioned, to threaten more significant attacks, but he hasn't been willing sort of fully take out the regime. Part of the Iranian strategy that we've discussed is to sort of wait out Trump, hoping Democrats take control of Congress this year, but also potentially waiting out Netanyahu, whose party is facing elections in the fall as well. We usually don't talk about that. The prime minister announced this week he's running for re-election. How do you assess the prime minister's political strength at this time?
You see, regarding the Iranians, it's a great point that you're bringing here. They have patience. They have main objectives, and they want to destroy the West, and they want to expand the revolution. Now, their clock, it doesn't tick by election cycles, the season of the year, or holidays, or World Cup, as it is for us sometimes, but rather by generations, by centuries. They have patience, and we should have just as much patience as they do when we want to counter their threat. Now, regarding the election, well, it's very, very hard to predict what will happen in Israel, because as you know, we've had, I think, a time frame of like 2.5 years in which we had about 5 election cycles last time. So I don't want to put my prediction. I would just tell you that the Prime Minister has done a lot for this country. We won't be where we are today at such a position of in such a position of strength if it wasn't for him and his great cooperation with President Trump and their very special relationship. And the Israeli people, they know it.
There have been some reported tensions between the two leaders over Israel's effort to try to destroy Hezbollah. There is frustration that the so-called peace deal in Gaza has not really advanced. Are you confident that Israel's security concerns, including the proxies and taking out Iran's proxies, will be sufficiently incorporated into any peace agreement with Tehran negotiated by the United States?
Tom, you and I talked a lot after October 7th. And for us Israelis, the equation, many of us, this equation of they attack us and we respond has changed, because we can't live like that. The equation is they threaten to kill us and we respond. They shouldn't be threatening to kill us. They shouldn't be threatening to destroy us. They have a choice. If somebody doesn't want to have war with Israel, they shouldn't be starting a war with Israel, right? So, of course, all these arenas, all these war fronts that you just mentioned with Hamas, with Hezbollah, they are intertwined. And the mothership that supports and funds these proxies is Iran. But these are different war arenas, and Israel shouldn't be tolerating any threat from any of these fronts. And because the Israeli people, as your reporter said earlier, we don't want band-aid solutions. We don't want to kick the can down the road on any of these fronts, and each one should be treated separately.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but certainly more to come. Former spokeswoman for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Tal Heinrich. Always appreciate your insights, Tal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.